things that we focus on. Ukutula focuses on education, research, and conservation. Education, we want to educate people as much as possible about these animals, answer all the questions you have, and also tell you about what's happening to them. Research, important research like the white recessive gene, why you get white lions and brown lions, the artificial insemination, social structure. We were also the first in the world to do a 4D scan of a baby lion growing in a mommy's womb with National Geographic. And then last but also very important is conservation. One day when these animals are extinct out in the wild, you can still come over here, see how they look and how they act instead of just looking inside of a book. Because we do try and keep them as natural as possible over here so that your children and their children can still see these animals. Okay, are you ready to have a look inside? Yeah. So just a few safety precautions before we go and find some lions, tigers and hyenas. There is an electric wire at the top and the bottom, so please mind your step walking next to the fences or taking a step back, especially with him. And then no running, calling or teasing or fingers through the fence because they will chop it off. And photos and videos more than welcome. You can put your phone right up to the fence to crop it out, but if the animal comes too close, just take a step back. And then especially when we get to the tigers, please do not stand in front of a black gate. They do like to put their paws through and underneath and try and grab you. Okay? So we can first quickly have a quick squiz at these baby leopards over here, but please mind the electric wire when you do take a look at them.
Baby leopard.
Oh, yeah.
They don't mind to be in a group.
No, not at this age, not yet. But as they get older, of course, they are solitary cats. They will have to be separated when they reach sexual maturity.
Tell me, these leopards, were they bred here?
No. So we do not personally work with them. The owners work with them. But from what we know, the owners were given the leopards to raise for other people that don't have the right enclosures for them. So until they have the right enclosures, the owners are keeping them safe here.
Perfect.
But this is also the first and only leopards we've ever had on the farm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're quite.
How old are they?
So, according to my knowledge, they're about 6.5 months old. So she did have babies about 3 days ago, so we don't want to stress her out. But this is one of our beautiful females. Her name is F2, and she assisted us in the artificial insemination. So Ukutula was the first in the world to do artificial insemination successfully on lionesses, and F2 over here was one of the females that gave us some of those artificial babies. But also when your female lion is pregnant, it's only for 3.5 months or 110 days. They have a very short pregnancy because most of the time the females do the hunting. So if all the females are pregnant for 9 months or more, nobody's going to do the hunting, nobody's going to get any food. But they also have a high risk pregnancy because they have to hunt. If they go out with that big belly, chances of them getting kicked in the belly, the baby's dying and mommy dying too is so much bigger. So the faster they can get those babies out, the better they are. Okay? Do you have any questions? Those females are all the way there. So in there, way in the right hand corner, we have 2 females. So the white female is Narnia and the brown female right next to her is Audrey. So of course here at Ucatula we do have a lot of white lions, but we also have some brown lions because that's actually how we started research on the animals. So way back in 2006 when the owners bought the farm, there were lions on the farm already, but then the first white lion was born and they didn't know what it was. So they were super freaked out. They were like, did they do something wrong? Is this lion sick? Is something wrong with it? So that's how they started doing research on them. They got some people to do research on the white lion to see, is it fine, is it healthy? And the researchers found out that it's just a white recessive gene. So it's all because of DNA. It's still a normal healthy lion, just a different hair color. Like with people, you get blondes and brunettes, blue eyes, brown eyes, exactly the same with them. So there's nothing wrong with them. They're not albinos at all, because albinos is a genetic defect. They're very sick animals and can only live up to 3 years max. Whereas your white lion lives just as long as your brown lion. They live about 10 to 15 years out in the wild, but they can live all the way 20 to 25 years in captivity. We can push it all the way to 25 years because in here it's like living with your parents. You give them food, security, and medical attention when something's wrong with them.
And the tiger?
We're going to see the tiger just now.
What's the first white lion born here?
Not the first in the whole world, but back in 2006 they haven't done research on any white lions yet. People didn't really know about them because you actually don't see them a lot because that white recessive gene is so rare, but they actually occur mostly in your Timbavati area in the Kruger National Park, and there have been some sightings, but of course the owners, they didn't know anything about animals, so they didn't even know about white lions existing. Yeah.
Wow.
And then when they did the research on the white lion, they realized that they didn't know anything about these animals, and they actually wanted to start learning some things about them, try to save them out in the wild because they are very endangered, they're going extinct. So that's why we have the animals. And later when I show you the conservation center, you will see that the owners do a lot of work to try and save these animals. Okay, do you have any questions about these females?
Are you enjoying yourself? Wow, look at him. Ugly mother.
Okay, so inside of this enclosure we've got two beautiful spotted hyenas, one female and one male. So the female over here is Itchy and that male over there is Hurley. So how they got their names is Hurley used to hurl up all his food, so that's where he got the name Hurley. And Itchy, yeah, she used to scratch herself a lot because she used to be super itchy. Oh. So okay, you know these spotted hyenas are known as your laughing hyena because of that laughing noise they make, but they actually don't make that noise when they're quite happy or if you tell them a really funny joke. They usually make that laughing noise when they're super anxious or nervous. So you can see that he is quite excited because you can see the tail is up, the ears are forward, he's running up and down. So he is quite excited, that's why you usually hear them laugh when they do the hunting. But also when it comes to hunting, your female, she's the boss. She's the dominant one when it comes to hyenas, so she says when, where and how.
It's a nature standard of.
So females, they get to eat first, then the babies get to eat, and if they have leftovers, the males get to eat. So the female is also bigger than the male because she produces 3 times more testosterone than the male. But also if you go look between all of our hyenas' legs, you will think that we only have male hyenas because the female has exactly the same genitals as the males. They both have testicles and a penis, but with your female it's only an elongated cervix. So it just looks like one, but it doesn't work like one. She still needs a male to reproduce because she still breathes, urinates and gives birth through that genital like a normal female.
She has a penis?
Yes.
Wow.
Looks exactly the same. So people usually ask us, how do you know if it's a male or a female? So you can go and feel the testicles. With the female, it's quite fleshy, it's very empty.
I don't think that'll allow us.
But with the males, you can actually feel there is something. But like this gentleman just said, they do not like you touching their testicles or putting your hands anywhere close to their hindquarters because they have such weak hindquarters. So the easiest way to do it is just to take some hair or blood samples, test it in the lab, 10-15 minutes, you've got your results, you know whether it's a male or a female. The only negative part is that you can only test that DNA after 6 months. So they have to be older than 6 months to test whether they're a male or a female. Before that, you just take random guess. You just say, I think this is a female. Okay, so this is treble over here and the male is somewhere there at the back teasing the lions. His name is Base. So in here, 2 Bengal tigers, and your Bengal tigers originate from India, Indonesia. This is brother and sister, but they're only 2 years old, so they haven't reached sexual maturity yet, so no making babies. But as soon as they want to make babies, we will separate them because of course we do not want brother and sister babies. But we also don't want any tiger babies at all. Tigers do not originate from South Africa. They do not occur here naturally. So we do not have any space for them to breed. And we also want to focus on the animals that we have here in Africa. But even if we do breed with them and we send them away to India, Indonesia, chances of them being killed and sold on the illegal wildlife market is very big. Your tiger is extremely popular on the illegal wildlife market. That's why they're critically endangered and there are less than 4,000 of them left out in the wild. They get sold for their skin, their claws, their whiskers for jewelry, their bone is fermented to make a bone wine, and their meat is even sold for human consumption. The meat is 80% muscle, so not very tender. I can't imagine it being very delicious. Okay, but on a happier note, if you shave off all their hair, those beautiful stripes are still on the skin like a tattoo, and it's just as unique as fingerprints in humans. So even though these two tigers are related, they do not have the same stripes at all. And your tiger is also an exceptional swimmer, one of the little cats that like to swim. So they have semi-webbed feet and they can swim up to 7 kilometers in one swim. Okay, so this first room over here is Ukutula's procedure room. So it's not sterile enough to do big operations because lots of doors and windows for bacteria to come in. But it's still a nice clean environment to do small procedures like stitches, dental work, health checkups, artificial insemination, collecting sperm of the lion. That table in the middle is a table that was sponsored to us, a very nice table that makes our lives easier because it can lower down and up and has wheels to turn around and move around. Your lion can get up to 260 kilograms or about 540 pounds. That's a lot of dead weight to pick up from the ground and move them around. But that light in the middle just looks like a simple light, but that's expensive medical equipment that we still have to buy with our own money. So everything at Ucatula is completely privately owned. We have no governmental funding because if we did, they could come here, take lions without us asking questions because basically it's their lions because they have money invested here. So the owners do not want that. They want to control what happens to their animals and where they go.
So would you have a full-time vet here?
No. So it's not needed. It's going to be very expensive and the vets are going to be very bored because we usually do not have a lot of injuries or sick animals. Okay. Any questions about this room? Okay, so this second room is our laboratory, a very nice facility to have on the farm because if something's wrong with one of our animals, we put them next door, get some samples, 10-15 minutes in here, we've got our results, we can go ahead with the treatment immediately. If we didn't have this facility, we'd have to send our samples away and we'd wait 2 weeks or up to 3 months before we get our results back. By the time we get the results, the animals can be in very bad condition or long gone. So over there we've got a centrifuge, a microscope, a blood analyzer, particle counter and a fecal float. And the coolest thing in here for me is this microscope because it connects via Bluetooth to that TV up there. So everything that's microscopic small they can put up in a nice big picture and show you exactly what they're talking about. Okay, do you have any questions so far about this room? No. Okay, then last room but most important room. So over here we've got the first privately owned biobank for endangered species in South Africa. Inside of this room we have all the research and samples we've collected over the years of the cheetah and the lion. Cheetah and lion because they're on the farm, easy to collect, but the owners also want to start doing research on the elephants and the rhinos because scientists say in less than 10 to 15 years all 4 of these species will be completely gone. So we do not want that to happen, so we're giving all of this on a silver platter to our future generations to try and save the animals. So this first freezer over here is for tissue, hair and poop samples. That big grey fridge over there with the screen on top of it is for blood samples and you can keep up to 10,000 blood samples in there. White little refrigerator for medicine that the vets can give the animals. And then 3 nitrogen tanks here at the bottom to keep the sperm of the lion and the cheetah. And it goes all the way to minus 196 degrees Celsius. And then everything in this room is monitored by that grey box in the left-hand corner that was made in Poland. And if we keep the temperatures nice and stable, we can keep all these samples up to 100 years. And then blue UV ultraviolets to kill bacteria, because we work with a lot of animals and people in outside. We don't want to go in there and infect everything with bacteria. And then 2 backup generators, because South Africa has load shedding where they switch the electricity off for 2 hours or up to 6 hours in one day. And we don't want to lose all of our research because of no electricity. Okay? No questions? Okay, then we can move up. So we can first have a quick talk about Lychee over here. So this is one of our female caterpillars. Her name is Lychee. So you can see Lychee looks nice and fat because they did get some food today. She's not pregnant. But Lychee also looks like she has super pointy ears, but she actually just has long hair on top of her ears that we call tufts. And they use those tufts to hunt. They'll go and lay in tall grass, they flick their ears and it looks like bugs to the birds. Birds come flying down to catch the bugs, but instead these cats jump up and catch them mid-air. They can catch them mid-air because if you take a look, you will see those hind legs are nice and tall. So they have very strong hind quarters that help them jump approximately 3 to 4 meters high. And that's also why they're enclosed at the top. But also a nice short tail just to help with balance when they jump that high. Any questions about Lychee over here? Okay, then we can quickly have a quick talk about Kwasi. So this is our second female caracal and her name is Kwasi. So Kwasi is one of the grumpiest caracals that we have here on the farm. But I would understand that because poor Kwasi only has 3 legs. So this happened about 6 months ago. She had a fight with one of our other caracals through the fence and he broke her leg so badly that we had to amputate the leg. But we chose to amputate it instead of euthanizing her to give her a second chance because the owners are very attached to her because she was raised in the house. And of course she adapted very well to only having 3 legs because 3 days after that leg being amputated she was running around. So she still runs around, jumps into her house and she still catches